Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Dear devotees, Anavad Pranams, thank you very much for joining in for our Bhagavad Gita study session today. Let's begin with prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरून् दिनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यमीश्वरं हरिः ओं तत्सत् गुरवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तडालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, Anand Pranams. Thank you for joining in for our Bhagavad Gita study session. So we are on chapter number 2. Last time we were discussing 2.11, right? So this is the first verse that Krishna is speaking after Arjuna surrendered. Sishyaste aham shadi mam tvam prapannam. When he surrendered, then what did Krishna say? Asochananva shochastvam prajnavadamscha bhashase gatasun agatasumscha nanu shochanti panditaha. Right? So what does he say? Asochan anvasochastvam prajnavadam. Prajnavadam shabashasya means you are speaking very, very learned words, right? You're talking as if you're expressing logic, you're telling reasons why you should not fight. So very, very, very logical, means very, very intelligent. Looks very intelligent. Arjuna is very intelligent. But what Krishna is saying, prajnavadam shabashasya, you're speaking learned words. Right? Asochan anvasochastvam prajnavadamscha vachase gatasun agatasumscha nanu shochanti panditaha. But you are a fool. Why? Because the wise neither lament for the living nor for the dead. Right? Nanu shochanti panditaha. So while speaking learned words, you are mourning for something that is not worthy of being mourned for. Right? So will anybody cry for an old dress being thrown away? Right? So like that, Krishna is telling Arjuna, you are mourning for something like an old dress which has got torn. To throw away that dress. Are we attached to that dress? No, we are getting new dress. Right? So we are willing to give away the old and torn dress. And we are not attached to it. So similarly, when the body becomes old and torn and worn out, right? When we cannot practice bhakti, when the body is useless, then the soul takes up another body at the time of death. But by the time we reach that stage, we want to perfect our life in such a way by remembering Krishna always, never forgetting Krishna, that don't want to get another material body. We don't want to get into the womb of another mother. But rather, we should get a spiritual body. And in this way, we go back to Godhead. So the entire lifetime is a preparation for that examination which you want to pass. Right? If we pass that examination, we go back to Godhead. Otherwise, also, there is no loss or diminution in the path of bhakti. Even if we don't perfect our lives, we'll still get the opportunity to be born in a Brahminical family, in a Vaishnava family, where we continue from where we left off until we go back to Godhead. Okay, sorry about my voice. Got a little bit of cold. All right, so let's move ahead. Text number 12. नत्वैवाहं जातु नाशं नत्वं नेमे जनाधिपः न चैव न भविष्यामः सर्वे वयम् अतः परम्. Okay, Deval Mataji, go ahead.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanvat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Synonyms: Yeah, synonyms: no, never; the, but; ever, certainly; aham, I; jatu, at any time; no, did not; asam, exist; no, not; tvam, you; no, not; ime, all these; jana adipaha, janadipaha, kings; no, never; cha, also; eva, certainly; no, not; bhavishyamaha, still shall exist; sarve, vayam, all of us; athaf param, hereafter. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. Purport. In the Vedas, in the Katha Upanishad, as well as in the Shvatara Upanishad, it is said that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the maintainer of innumerable living entities in terms of their different situations according to individual work and reaction of work. That Supreme Personality of Godhead is also by his plenary portions alive in the heart of every living entity. Only saintly persons who can see within and without the same Supreme Lord can actually attain to perfect and eternal peace. Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadhati Kaman Tam Atmastham Ye Nupashanti Dhiras Tesham Shanti Shashwati Netaresham. Katha Upanishad 2.2.13. The same Vedic truth given to Arjuna is given to all persons in the world who pose themselves as very learned, but factually have but a poor fund of knowledge. The Lord says clearly that he himself, Arjuna, and all the kings who are assembled on the battlefield are eternally individual beings, and that the Lord is eternally the maintainer of the individual living entities, both in their conditioned and in the liberated situations. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the supreme individual person, and Arjuna, the Lord's eternal associate, and all the kings assembled there are the individual eternal persons. It is not that they did not exist as individuals in the past, and it is not that they will not remain eternal persons. Their individuality exists in the past, and their individuality will continue in the future without interruption. Therefore, there is no cause for lamentation for anyone. The Mayavadi theory that after liberation, the individual soul, separated by the covering of Maya or illusion, will merge into the impersonal Brahman and lose its individual existence is not supported herein by Lord Krishna, the Supreme Authority, nor is a theory that we only think of individuality in the conditioned state supported herein. Krishna clearly says herein that in the future, also the individuality of the Lord and others, as it is confirmed in the Upanishads, will continue eternally. This statement of Krishna is authoritative because Krishna cannot be subject to illusion. If individuality were not a fact, then Krishna would not have stressed it so much, even for the future. The Mayavadi may argue that the individuality spoken of by Krishna is not spiritual but material. Even accepting the argument that the individuality is material, then how can one distinguish Krishna's individuality? Krishna affirms his individuality in the past and confirms his individuality in the future also. He has confirmed his individuality in many ways, and impersonal Brahman has been declared to be subordinate to him. Krishna has maintained spiritual individuality all along. If he is accepted as an ordinary conditioned soul in individual consciousness, then his Bhagavad Gita has no value as authoritative scripture. A common man with all the four defects of human frailty is unable to teach that which is worth hearing. The Gita is above such literature. No mundane book compares with the Bhagavad Gita. When one accepts Krishna as an ordinary man, the Gita loses all importance. The Mayavadi argues that the plurality mentioned in this verse is conventional and that it refers to the body. But previous to this verse, such a bodily conception is already condemned. After condemning the bodily conception of the living entities, how was it possible for Krishna to place a conventional proposition on the body again? Therefore, individuality is maintained on spiritual grounds and is thus confirmed by great acharyas like Sri Ramanuja and others. It is clearly mentioned in many places in the Gita that this spiritual individuality is understood by those who are devotees of the Lord. Those who are envious of Krishna as a supreme personality of Godhead have no bona fide access to the great literature. The non-devotee's approach to the teachings of the Gita is something like that of a bee licking on a bottle of honey. One cannot have a taste of honey unless one opens the bottle. Similarly, the mysticism of the Bhagavad Gita can be understood only by devotees, and no one else can taste it, as it is stated in the fourth chapter of the book. Nor can the Gita be touched by persons who envy the very existence of the Lord. Therefore, the Mayavadi's explanation of the Gita is a most misleading presentation of the whole truth. Lord Chaitanya has forbidden us to read commentations made by the Mayavadis and warns that one who takes to such an understanding of the Mayavadi philosophy loses all power to understand the real mystery of the Gita. If individuality refers to the empirical universe, then there is no need of teaching by the Lord. The plurality of the individual soul and the Lord is an eternal fact, and it is confirmed by the Vedas as mentioned above. Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you, Dhanvat Pranam. Hare Krishna Mataji, you are on mute. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Am I audible? Haribol. Yeah. So, thank you, Mataji. So, what was I saying? Natva evaham jato nasham natvam neme janadipaha. So, Krishna is saying, you and I were individuals in the past, and we will continue to be individuals now, and will continue to be individuals in the future also. There will never be a time when you will merge with me, or I will merge with you, or all of us will merge into some light, and that light is the supreme absolute truth. Never. Never does Krishna say that. Right? What does Krishna say? You are also a living entity, I am also a living entity. Nityo nityanam chetanas chetananam eko bahunam yo vidadati kaman. Right? Both of us are living entities. While I maintain you, you are being maintained by me. Eko bahunam. Eko bahunam, there is one person who's a maintainer. Yo vidadati kaman, right? And that individual person who's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is a living entity, who is a person, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is maintaining all of us, small living entities who are parts and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the Mayavadis say that, when Krishna appears in this world, he also appears in a human form. So he becomes subjugated by Maya. That means, whatever happens to us, right? Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, like that is also applicable to Krishna. Right? Prabhupada refutes this argument by saying, दैवी हयेषा गुणमयी मम माया दुरत्यया मामेव ये प्रपद्यन्ते maya metam tarantite. Right? Krishna himself says that this energy of mine is very, very difficult to overcome. But one who surrenders unto me will overcome this material nature. So this Maya or the material nature is the energy of the Lord. Right? The energy is always subordinate to the energetic. Right? Just like with my energy, I'm moving my hand up and down. Right? So can I say that the energy that I exercise is greater than me? No. When I will something, I use my energy to get things done. If I want to drink water, I use my hand to take the glass and drink water. So my mouth, my hand, and the energy or the effort that I take, they're all within my control. And I do as per my desire. Right? So I have complete control, not even complete control. Right? We don't even have complete control on our own body. Isn't it? We don't know how the digestion happens, right? Once we put the food in the mouth, the food they swallowed, it goes to the stomach. We don't know how next day it all, whatever is required for the body is taken in, and whatever is not required is thrown out. We don't know how that function works, right? We all breathe in, breathe air in and out, right? That sustains life. We don't know how that process is happening, right? Automatically inhalation happens, automatically exhalation happens. Yeah. So we don't even know, we are not even fully cognizant of our own body, right? But the Supreme Lord is not like that. The Supreme Lord wills and everything happens according to his will, right? The Supreme Lord is cognizant not only of his own activities, but he's cognizant of all of the activities of all of us, all living entities, 8.4 million species, whether it is a tiger or a lion or a dog, right, or a human being, right, does not matter, right? The Lord is situated as Paramatma in everybody's heart. Upadrashtanumantacha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwara. He's situated in everyone's heart as a permitter. He's situated in everyone's heart as a witness. And before we recognize what is our desire, what do we want to do, the Lord is able to understand. The Lord knows our intentions. The Lord knows our desires, right? So the Lord is a person, but in his Paramatma feature, he knows everything what is happening in everybody's heart, everybody's desires, actions, everything is known to the Lord. And by his all-pervading effulgence, he enlightens or enlivens the entire spiritual world, right? But a devotee is not too much interested in the Paramatma feature of the Lord or even in the effulgence of the Lord, because the devotee is more interested in serving the Lord, right? When I know the Lord is a person, the Lord is in Goloka Vrindavan Dham, the Lord has most beautiful features. Barha Vatamsam Asitambuda Sundarangam Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Visesha Shobham Govindam Madi Purusham Tamam Bajami. So we know that Krishna is Shama Sundara. He's wearing nice yellow dhoti. He's wearing nice peacock feather. He's wearing nice Vaijayanti Mala. He's wearing nice ornaments. And he is playing the flute. It's happily situated. right? And we want to serve that Radha Krishna who's there in the spiritual world. We want to serve that Gauranga Mahaprabhu who is eternally preaching the message of Krishna consciousness and is always blissful. We want to serve that personality, the supreme personality of Godhead, right? So that when he is pleased, he will take us into his entourage, so that we can also engage in serving the supreme personality of God. And in this way, attain that eternal bliss, right, which we can never attain by understanding the Sat and the Chit feature. We may understand I am not this body, I am the spirit soul. We may understand the Lord is situated in my heart as Paramatma. That will only give us the Sat and the Chit, which means the eternality of the soul is understood, the knowledge is understood that I am infinitesimal part and parcel of Krishna. But then to understand that Jivero Swarupe Krishnera Nitya Das, that is the most confidential understanding. And to understand that, we should understand the Lord is a person, I am a person, we are eternally, we are going to be separate individuals. One is a maintainer, one is the served, and the other, the living entity who is a part and parcel of the Lord, is the servitor. Right? When we understand this and we are situated in our constitutional position to serve the Lord, that is the time when we will attain eternal bliss. Okay, let's move ahead. Text number 13. Okay, text number 13. Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tatha dehantara praptir dhiras tatra namuyati. Okay, Sindhu Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Synonym. Dehinaha, of the embodied, asmin in this, yata as, dehe the body, kaumaram boyhood, yauvanam youth, jara old age, tata similarly, dehantara of transference of the body, praptihi achievement, dhiraha the sober, tatra thereupon, na never, muhyati is deluded. Translation and purport by Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. The sober person is not bewildered by such a change. Purport: since every living entity is an individual soul, each is changing his body every moment, manifesting sometimes as a child, sometimes as a youth, and sometimes as an old man. Yet the same spirit soul is there and does not undergo any change. This individual soul finally changes the body at death and transpirates to another body. And since it is sure to have another body in the next birth, either material or spiritual, there was no cause for lamentation by Arjuna on account of death, neither for Bhishma nor for Drona, for whom he was so much concerned. Rather, he should rejoice for their changing bodies from old to new ones, thereby regenerating their energy. Such changes of body account for various varieties of enjoyment or suffering according to one's work in life. So, Bhishma and Drona, being noble souls, were surely going to have spiritual bodies in the next life, or at least life in heavenly bodies for superior enjoyment of material existence. So, in either case, there was no cause of lamentation. Any man who has perfect knowledge of the constitution of the individual soul, the super soul, and nature, both material and spiritual, is called a dhira, or the most sober man. Such a man is never deluded by the change of the bodies. The Mayavadi theory of oneness of the spirit soul cannot be entertained on the ground that the spirit soul cannot be cut into pieces as a fragmental portion. Such cutting into different individual souls would make the supreme cleavable or changeable, against the principle of the supreme souls being unchangeable. As confirmed in the Gita, the fragmental portion of the supreme exists eternally, sanatana, and are called shara. That is, they have a tendency to fall down into the material nature. These fragmental portions are eternally so, and even after liberation, that individual soul remains the same, fragmental. But once liberated, he lives an eternal life in bliss and knowledge with the personality of Godhead. The theory of reflection can be applied to the super soul who is present in each and every individual body and is known as a Paramatma. He is different from the individual body, is different from the individual living entity. When the sky is reflected in water, the reflections represent both the sun and the moon and the stars also. The stars can be compared to the living entities and the sun and the moon to the Supreme Lord. The individual fragmental spirit soul is represented by Arjuna, and the Supreme Soul is the personality of God at Sri Krishna. They are not on the same level as it will be apparent in the beginning of the 4th chapter. If Arjuna is on the same level with Krishna, Krishna is not superior to Arjuna, then their relationship of instructor and the instructed becomes meaningless. If both of them are deluded by the illusory energy Maya, then there is no need of one being the instructor and the other the instructed. Such instruction would be useless because in the clutches of Maya, no one can be an authoritative instructor. Under the circumstances, it is admitted that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Lord, superior in position to the living entity. Arjuna, who is a forgetful soul deluded by Maya. Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So, the importance of Bhagavad Gita is because of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, speaking the Bhagavad Gita. Otherwise, we are not interested in two friends talking something in the battlefield. Right? We have a lot of things to do. We don't have 24 hours or not enough for us to do our own things. Why should we listen to two friends conversing something in the battlefield? Right? The dialogue assumes importance because Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this is the manual for our life. And this knowledge Krishna is giving to each of us living entities through Arjuna. And hence this conversation becomes important for us, not just to hear once, not just to read once, not for time pass, but to read again and again and again, to introspect, to reflect on what is given in the purport by Srila Prabhupada, so that we implement in our life gradually, slowly, systematically, to ensure that we are completely following the instructions of the Bhagavad Gita. So that is why this conversation that we are studying, probably the third or the fourth time, even in this association, in this forum. Why? Because Bhagavad Gita cannot be left as, okay, I have studied and I have kept this book. Never, right? If we complete the study of Bhagavad Gita, we restart the study of Bhagavad Gita. Because Bhagavad Gita is the foundation of our spiritual life, right? If you want to progress in our spiritual life, want to continue to studying, understanding Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, we have to continue to re-study Bhagavad Gita again and again and again, because the foundation is strong. Then only the building will become strong, right? Our building of devotional service, right? When we understand what is the turmoil that Arjuna is going through and what are the questions Arjuna is asking, and how Krishna is explaining to Arjuna what he should do, what he should not do, what he should lament for, what he should not lament for, what he should desire, what he should not desire. And Prabhupada's wonderful purports telling us clear instances of how we can practically apply this knowledge in our life. So that is the reason we need to continue to study Bhagavad Gita again and again and again. It's not that, okay, I completed Bhakti Shastri. That means Bhagavad Gita is completely understood. I don't have to study the Bhagavad Gita. Never. If that is the way we are approaching Bhagavad Gita, we will never. It is like Prabhupada is mentioning in one of the previous purports. It is like licking the bottle of honey which is completely closed. Right? How can we relish? Right? The relishment begins when we surrender to a guru, hear from the guru, and try to assimilate and try to apply it in our life. Then only we will start relishing the Bhagavad Gita. We will start tasting the nectar of Bhagavad Gita. So it all depends, like Prabhupada says in Nectar of Instruction purport. He says the advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the follower or attitude of the devotee, right? So when our attitude is wanting to serve Guru and Gauranga, to improve ourselves every minute, every second, to always want to remember Krishna, to do everything in a way that's pleasing to Guru and Gauranga, then when we study the Bhagavad Gita with that intention, how I can apply it for the pleasure of Guru and Gauranga, then we will get realizations, we will get wisdom, we will get understanding by which we can go back home, back to Godhead. We will get the understanding by which we can please Guru and Gauranga. We will get the understanding by which this jnana becomes vijnana. In that way, we can practice devotional service according to the instructions of our gurus. Prabhupada is our eternal Siksha Guru. So when we read Prabhupada's books, we should understand that what is in it for me. Right? This is a letter written. I was hearing Amrendra Prabhu's class long time back. He was telling in one class, right? Dear Medhavini Sakhi Devi Dasi. Like that, if Prabhupada were to write a letter to me, how much importance would I give to that particular letter of Srila Prabhupada? I would, like Prabhu was saying, probably I would have put it on a frame on the wall. I will tell everybody, this is a letter Prabhupada has written to me. I'm going to follow this instruction as my life and soul. Like that, isn't it? We don't have the fortune of personal association with Prabhupada, but we have Srila Prabhupada's books, Srila Prabhupada's purports, which is non-different from Prabhupada's personal association. Prabhupada says, all my instructions are in my books, and I live in my books forever. Yeah. So when we study every purport, right, as we study, we will say, dear Medhavini Sakhi Devi Dasi, right? And Prabhupada is giving this instruction for me to follow. this one purport I will try to implement in my life. So if that is the way we approach Srila Prabhupada's books, then we will grow in Krishna consciousness because of the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, right? Because the personal association of a devotee, whether through his Vani or through Vapu or through his books, right? They are all so purifying, right? If the person with the right attitude, quickly, Chipram Bhavati Dharmatma, Shashvat Shantim Nigachati, Kaunteya Pratijani, Nami Bhaktaha, Chipram means very, very quickly. Purification will happen in the heart, right? To the extent we are surrendered, we are sincere, and we want to understand instructions of Prabhupada and want to implement in our life. Yeah, otherwise we can read for countless lifetimes. We may not get the desired transformation in our hearts. So attitude is very, very important. All right, next verse, text 14. Matra sparshas tu kaunteya, sitoshna sukha dukkada, agama paino anityastam satiksheshva bharata. Saroga Bishmaji.
Krishna Mataji, Dandat Pranam. Synonyms: Matra Sparsha, sensory perception. 2. Only. Kaunteya, O son of Kunti. Sita, winter. Ushna, summer. Sukha, happiness. Dukkha, and pain. Daha, giving. Agama, appearing. Apayinaha, disappearing. Anityaha, non-permanent. Tan, all of them. Titikshava, just try to tolerate. Bharata, were descendant of the Bharata dynasty. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perceptions. O session of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. In the proper discharge of the duty, one has to learn to tolerate non-permanent appearances and disappearance of happiness and distress. According to Vedic injunction, one has to take his bath early in the morning, even during the month of Magha, January, February. It is very cold at that time. But in spite of that, a man who abides by the religious principles does not hesitate to take his bath. Similarly, a woman does not hesitate to cook in the kitchen in the month of May and June, the hottest part of the summer month season. One has to execute his duty in spite of climatic inconvenience. Similarly, to fight is the religious principles of the Kshatriyas, and although one has to fight with some friend or relative, one should not deviate from his prescribed duty. One has to follow the prescribed rules and regulations of religious principles in order to rise up to the platform of knowledge. Because by knowledge and devotion only can one liberate himself from the clutches of Maya, illusion. The two different names of address given to Arjuna are also significant. To address him as Kaunteya signifies his great blood relationship from his mother's side, and to address him as Bharata signifies his greatness from his father's side. From both the sides, he is supposed to have a great heritage. A great heritage brings a responsibility in the matter of proper discharge of duties. Therefore, he cannot avoid fighting. Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandat Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you. So discharge of duty, right, is very, very important for us to perform our duty, whatever is our swadharma, right? Every day we are fighting a battle, right? We are all Kalo Shudra Sambhava. So even if we are Shudras, right, every day we are waging a battle with Maya, right? When we perform our swadharma, it is a daily battle with Maya. Some of us have to go out and work in offices. Some of us have to work at home, right? Whatever it be, this material world is such that something or the other will crop up, which is a kind of battle, because we don't know what to do, how to tackle this. All right, some new issues come up, right? Suddenly the power goes off, or suddenly the water does not come, right? Suddenly there is a strike, that we're not able to go to our offices, right? Suddenly there is a lot of work, there is project delivery, right? All of these things, different things crop up, and we need to have the intelligence to fight the war, in a way that we are able to complete our Swadharma also nicely, at the same time maintain our Krishna consciousness. So that is the reason in the early morning we chant during Brahma Muhurta time. That is when we wear our kavacha, right? So when we wear our kavacha and we wear our armor, right, then we are prepared to go ahead for the battle. Every one of us have to do this battle, whether or not one has to go out or whether one is at home. The moment we open our eyes until we go to sleep, it's a big battle, right? And every choice that we make will determine our future destination, will also determine our ability to make the right choices in future also. Like we were talking the other day, when we make wrong choices, when we simply get into the impulse and then we give in to our desires, then it becomes very difficult to make the next choice which is right. Right? Sometimes when we study the scriptures, we know what is the right thing to do, but to do what is right involves a lot of determination, a lot of sincerity, a lot of the desire to wanting to please Srila Prabhupada. That desire has to be burning, that has to be laulyam, right? Only then we can conquer our lower instincts. Param Drishtva Nivartate. So when we study Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitam, intelligence gets purified. We know that we have the discrimination power, what to do, what not to do, how to control the mind. And then we know chanting of Hare Krishna Mantra helps us control the mind. Mantra, iti mantra. Right? So when we chant Hare Krishna Mantra, our mind is controlled. Then the mind engaged, the intelligence guides the mind guides the senses. And in this way, the senses are engaged in the service of the Lord. Right? Whether we're doing Arati or Abhishek or we're even holding the Maam and the beads and chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So in this way, we are doing everything, always wanting to remember Krishna and never wanting to forget Krishna. So this is the goal of the life. And that's what Prabhupada is also mentioning very beautifully in this purport. Right? Arjuna is addressed as Kaunteya, Arjuna is addressed as Bharata. Right? From his mother's side also relations, and from his father's side also various relations. So we have our Swadharma to perform. Being a daughter of someone, being the daughter-in-law of someone, son-in-law of someone, son of someone, father of someone, or granddaughter of someone, or whatever, grandson. Various relationships as an employee of an organization or as a member of a society or a community, right? So we have our various roles that we perform, and when we have all those roles, we have to perform our duty in all those roles, but we have to keep Lord Sri Krishna in the center of whatever we are doing, right? We have been assigned these roles because of the body that we've acquired. We've acquired this body because of the desires and our past karmas. So we acquired this body and our Swadharma is related to that, right? But we should perform our Swadharma in a way that's pleasing to Guru and Gauranga. And we have to perform our Swadharma in a way that our Sanatana Dharma is not getting affected. That means my chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, minimum 16 rounds, I need to have time for that. That is my priority, right? Even in the material world, they talk about putting the big stones first. Right? So when we put the big stones first, big stones means what is most important for us, what is our priority, right? If chanting of a Hare Krishna mantra is a priority, following the ABCD square formula is a priority, right? So we build our life to ensure that the remaining 22 hours are conducive for us to practice exclusive devotional service for the 2 hours that we are chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So if we are able to do that, then we are sufficiently armoring ourselves and we are protecting ourselves from Maya, which means we are performing devotional service in a way that's pleasing to Guru and Gauranga. Because it's only with the mercy of our Gurus that we are able to perform our Swadharma in a way that's pleasing. And we also get the time and the consciousness and the mood to perform our Sanatana Dharma exclusively at the appropriate time for the pleasure of Guru and Gauranga. So all of this requires the mercy of the Lord. The more we are sincere, the more we'll be guided with the Lord to perform devotional service. Yeah, we'll pick up the last verse. I don't know how many minutes. Oh, there are 5 minutes left. 6 minutes. Okay, let's quickly go through this. Text number 15. Okay, let's see how big is the purport. Okay, small one. Let's go through. Okay, now Kishori Mataji wants to read. All right, text number 15. Yam hina vyatayante te purusham purushar sabha sama dukkha sukham dhiram so amrita vyaya kalpate so amritat Vaya kalpate. Yeah, Navkishori Mataji, go ahead. Synonyms.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Shinovinam.
Yes.
Yama, one to whom he certainly never vyatha yanti are distressing all these purushama to a person purusha Purusha Rishabha, O best among men, Sama unaltered Dukha. Dukha in distress, Sukhama, and happiness, Dhirama, patience, Saha, he, Amrita, Amritata Vaya, the for liberation, Kalpate, sorry Mataji,
Amritatyavya.
Amrita
Amrita
Vyavya. Okay,
for
thank you
liberation.
Mataji.
Yeah. Kalpate.
For liberation, Kalpate in considered eligible. Per translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O best among men, Arjuna, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is already in both is certainly eligible for liberation. Purport: anyone who is steady in his determination for the advanced stage of spiritual realization and equally tolerate the onslaughts of distress and happiness is certainly a person eligible for liberation. In the Varnashrama institution for the fourth stage of life, namely the renounced order, sannyasa is a painstaking situation, but one who is serious about making his life making his life perfect, surely adopt the sannyasa order of life in spite of all difficulties. The difficulties usually arise from having to sever family relationship to give up the connection of a wife and children. But if anyone is able to tolerate such difficulties, surely his path to spiritual realization is complete. Similarly, in Arjuna's discharge of duties as a Kshatriya, he is advised to persevere. Even if it is difficult to fight with his family members or similarly beloved persons. Lord Chaitanya took sannyasa at the age of 24, and his dependents and young wife as well as old mother had no one else to look after them. Yet for a higher cause, he took sannyasa and was ready in steady in the discharge of higher duties. That is a way of achieving liberation from material bondage.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. Dhanat Pranam. So, we have to always follow instructions, right? So, whose instructions we follow is a choice that we have, right? Either we can follow the instructions of our mind. Somehow, I don't like to do it, so I'll renounce it. Oh, I don't want to wake up in the morning today, so I'll not wake up, right? So like that, we can follow the instructions of our mind, or we follow the instructions of our gurus, right? We have to follow instructions because we are servants. We have to follow instructions, but then whose instruction we follow will depend. It depends on whose instruction we follow. That either will progress in our spiritual life, or will be stagnant, or will come down in our spiritual life. So of course, we all know, we are all intelligent enough whose directions we need to follow, right? Otherwise, if we get degraded by the mind. Bandhuratmat manasmanasya yenatmaivatmanajitah anatmanatu shatrutve vartetatmaiva shatruvat. If we don't keep our mind under control, our mind is our greatest enemy. But if our mind is under control, that means our mind is directed by our intelligence, which is guided by scriptures, then life will be easy. To take decisions will be easy under the guidance of Guru, Shastra and Sadhu. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. So request devotees can switch on your cameras. We'll quickly do 1 minute Harinam Sankirtan and the session will end. Krishna 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 Hey Krishna 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 Hey Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Padimam Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Raksho Mam Krishna 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 He Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Gurudev Gurudev Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय। जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद श्री गुरुदेव की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णवा वृंद की जय। Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. Nice to see all of you. Thank you, Shobha Mataji, Navkishori Mataji, Sarvagopi Shri Mataji, Archana Mataji, Sindhu Mataji, and Deval Mataji. Thank you very much. We'll meet tomorrow morning, 4:30 a.m. Brahma Murta chanting.